All right, let's get right into this. I have stated that I will do one video, or I should say two videos, one video each, 2 days for 2 days a week. I'm gonna do two total videos. So here I am with another video. I know this is not as many as I was putting up before, but I think this is much better because too many videos means that I can't come up with enough content. And so it's just kind of almost like a waste of time to do so many. So we'll get right into this now. The way I do videos here, if you're new to the channel, is that I start with one word, which is basically just an idea, and then I come up with the rest on the spot. And I try to think of an interesting subject or word, and the word today is hype, and how we can talk about that. So, not everything lives up to the hype. From my perspective, I can tell you about myself. Sometimes I was able to create a lot of hype, and people knew that. Even though I had no substance and I couldn't really back it up, and add to that hype. At the same time, I've been in spots in my life, maybe even for years, but I've been in spots in my life where all I had was substance and no hype. So I couldn't bring up any hype, but all I could do is deliver substance. Knowing that I could deliver actions or words or do things in a manner where it was all substance and there was really no hype involved. And today I would say that, I feel comfortable in either world. And I think a lot of that just comes with natural maturing and maturity. I think the last video I did was on change and movement. But again, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I did a very powerful long length video all on personal economics, as I called it. Having to do with your personal life and your economics. I can tell you something though. One thing that I will say about that before I move on to this video is that sometimes you have to pick a starting point, and I say it's like with anything, it's like if you don't start, how are you gonna progress? So everything has a starting point, and the truth is that in life, when it comes to personal economics, we do get put in spots where we need money. You might need money to buy a car, for example, right? And you gotta understand, like, buying cheap cars is actually a high risk, because when you buy a cheap car, it can fail on you at a high speed. Even if you're not even on the highway, if you're just at a high speed, that car can fail on you. You do not want that to happen. The car can constantly break down and end up charging you for mechanical fees at your mechanic or whatever the case is. So, I think, that's definitely an expense that you have to take care of and make sure it's good. But like I said, in life, you need money for things. Sometimes you need money just to put food in your mouth, right? And that's a big deal. And that's why I brought up, I said, people don't want to work in factories, but they will if they have to. Like, as far as I know, in this part of the world, factory work is actually the least desired work. It's the last job that people get when they know they can't get another job. I'd say at least half of the people working in factories do not speak English or speak very poor English and are taking ESL, English as a second language classes and things like that. They can't speak English. They have no skills, no college or university or anything. And then they end up working in factories because that's the only thing they can get. Also, if you have a very bad criminal record, you can still get a job in a factory. Like I said, I think 50% of factory jobs are not even filled. Like, they're desperate to get people, and they do want to get people. And that aside is another thing. But even for myself, like I think I've worked jobs that were not that bad in the past, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you want to do. I mean, you have to, like, you got to start somewhere. So if you have an opportunity where, let's say, you have a friend or a family member who sets you up with a job, let's say the person has a convenience store, or like, let's say they have 10 convenience stores, and they tell you, listen, I'm going to start you off with one convenience store. Okay, you got to look after it, you got to manage it, you got to work there too, and you gotta watch for like 1 or 2 employees that you have too. So you gotta do all that. When I feel like you're capable enough, like I'm gonna mentor you through the whole process. And when I feel like you're capable enough, I'll put you on your second store. And who knows, one day you might be looking after like 5, 6, or 7 of my stores, right? And that's a good living you got going right there. And it's paying the bills for things that you need right now. You might need a laptop. You might need to, do whatever you need to do. You might need food and things like that. I personally, I don't want to get into my personal stuff. I'm not very skilled in a lot of things that people are good at. I'm not even gonna state things because it's kind of embarrassing. I do have low skills in certain things that I'm sure even like 15, 16-year-old children are good at, or college students are good at. Even old people are good at. But anyways, that aside, I mean that's a great opportunity, right? But let's say you find yourself in a position where you're like, man, like I tried applying for, and first of all, don't just go for like the lowest job. I mean, typically, even for like the lowest level of people, everybody knows that you go for like the best you can get first. So you start high and you go low, right? You start with the best option available, and when everything gives out and you got no choice left, you can't go work in a factory, right? For me, I mean, that's like my last resort. I've worked part-time jobs, but that was a long time ago. I did a full-time job as a valet when I was 23. When I was 22, I worked part-time in a men's clothing section with men's shoes and men's clothing and stuff. And that's actually where I found the clothing line that I really liked. I actually found a clothing line there that I really, really liked, and I still wear it till today. Although I don't really, anyways, we don't need to get into that. So, like I said, like I would prefer to have something like that over a factory job. But at the end of the day, if I'm hurting and it's been like weeks and weeks or a month or two, and I can't get myself a job, like anywhere, like not even at a clothing store, not even as a cook, not as a cashier at a grocery store, not working anywhere. At the end of the day, and I could go to the mall, and I've done this, and I've never gotten a job at a mall. I've applied at malls. People used to say that all the time. Oh, since I was in high school, people would say that. Oh, I just went to the mall, started handing out resumes, and I got a job here, I got a job there, I got an interview here, I got an interview there. I tried it. Like I told you, even McDonald's wasn't hiring me. Okay, I gave applications like 10 times to multiple McDonald's locations, and they never hired me. Okay, Walmart never hired me. Okay, I went applying to every clothing store, everything in the mall, and nobody hired me. Nobody wanted to give me a job. So. And there's one thing I want to, there's a lot of men that are skeptical. They look at a guy, oh, he's a pretty boy, must be soft and have an easy life or something stupid like that. Or, I love this one. Oh, he must have, he probably gets bullied by a lot of gangsters around him all the time. And that's why he acts like that, like he wants to be hard. But he could be anything he wants. That's a big misconception because never in my life was I in a position where I was like, oh man, I can be anyone I want. I can just get money anytime. If I feel like it, I'll fly to Paris. I'll fly to Miami. Never in my life was I ever able to do that at all. I've never had someone just hand me anything. I literally had people cringe just to give me like $2. They would cringe to be like, oh shit. I'd be like, can I have $2? And they'd be like, oh, I only have like $11 in my wallet. I'd be like, all right, it's okay, man. You know what? You don't have to give me any money. You know what I mean? All right, that's fine, man. Don't worry about it. But I don't even want to ask you for money. You know what I mean? I've never had nobody pay my way. When I flew to Vancouver, I found a really good job and that was a really good opportunity. I mean, I was 19 years old and I got a job with a carpentry company, a construction company that flew me out to Vancouver to work there. Vancouver, BC, I think it was like an 8-9 hour flight. It wasn't a short flight. It was a safe 7 or 8 hours flight. And they flew me out there. They paid for my tickets. And I was getting $23 an hour when the minimum wage was $9. I was getting 23. So I was getting 2.5 times what your minimum wage was. Now, that was a great opportunity and I made money, but but like I said, like 6 months out, I didn't have that job anymore. 6 months later, I was working for minimum wage trying to develop a website for the Toronto District Catholic School Board in their school head office of their school board. You know, like so I've been up and down. I had bad times, good times. I've had all that stuff. There were times when I did take trips, and again, they were pretty cheap trips. You know, I took them to dangerous places because it was cheaper there because people didn't want, and that's not recommended at all. But you do whatever you want to do at the end of the day. I don't even think I'm gonna get to this whole hype thing, but this actually went great. But like I said, at the end of the day, nobody wants to do a factory job. Like I would obviously, try my hand at sending resumes to decent places, trying to get a job. But if at the end of the day, if I got no job, that's what I have to do. I got to go work in a factory, and I've worked in factories and I've done it. And I know that if I had to do it for like 2 months till I could get something better, I know I can do it. I'm not really worried about that. Right. But that was the whole point. And that was a powerful, powerful video. And you know what? I don't want to address certain things. There are things in my life that I don't address on these videos. I like to address in private, in my personal life, and talk about or deal with certain issues there. But by no means, I don't understand why people might say to me, oh, you can't work a factory job. It's going to look really bad on you. People give you really stupid advice out there. Some people literally tell you, oh, you should just kill yourself. I'm not even kidding. People will actually say stuff like that. And you just go, I don't think so. Like, I don't think I want to do that. But people will say that to you. Listen, man, if you're really hurting, and don't go work in a factory or work a shitty job at a clothing store. If you're really hurting, just commit suicide. And it's like, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, I mean, don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do, man. That's not the 90s. That's not the way that I grew up. I don't know what's wrong with the world today. That's not how we grew up. There's nothing wrong with that at all. A lot of actors that made it in Hollywood, these big actors that you hear about, they went to LA, like young, good-looking people went to LA, and they were working as waiters and waitresses for like breakfast places and stuff, just so they could have a place to stay and keep doing auditions to get a job. Like, you gotta start somewhere. There are people, very good-looking, talented people, who had to start by just as a waiter or a waitress in LA. They went to LA on a bus. They went to LA on a coach bus with a little bit of money that they had some, like maybe 1 month's rent, and got a job as a waiter or waitress. That used to happen, man. I don't know what's wrong with people. Barack Obama's daughter, I think she was 16 years old when she got a job as a cashier. She got like a part-time job as a cashier. And she was the president's daughter, and her father is very, very rich. And she had all the opportunities in the world, but she was working as a cashier. I don't see what the big deal is. I'm not part of snobby high society, never have been, and it's not a big deal to me at all. Really, I mean, if you have to go work, don't go work in a factory because you think it's cool. Oh, it's so cool, let's go work in a factory. Like, that's really stupid. You're gonna go there for 2 or 3 days and say, dude, this is not worth it. This is just shitty. Fuck this shit, right? Realistically, right? But again, I've never been resourceful at all. I've never been able to, call someone and say, you think you can hook me up with a job, or you think you'd hook me. I've never been able to do that ever in my life, and I'm not even gonna address people who hate you because of the way you look, right? Oh, you're very good looking. You must have had a great life or something like that. It's just stupid. You know what? I'm having so much fun with this that, I want to do a part 2. So we'll do a part 2 to this.